Thank you. So, hello everyone. My talk, as shown here, will include a few parts like this. So, the first one, what is the problem regarding the soil hands? So, we should work on CA. I will talk on CA regarding the soil hands only. And as Jean-Philippe already mentioned, I'll talk briefly on ecological control of weeds. And if the time is allowable, I will talk a little bit about CA in Southeast Asia. I try to keep short because it's late already, and Jean-Philippe, you can stop me when the time is okay? So, what is the problem regarding the soil quality or soil health? You see here, our farmers have been long time practicing traditional agricultural practices, and that's why we face a lot of problem of soil erosion and soil or land degradation. And because of that, everywhere now we have the trends of crops yield reduction, and our farmers need to use increasing use fertilizer and chemicals to keep to obtain acceptable yield benefit of crops. And because of overuse of chemical, we again face problem with unsustainability of production system, and one of the main causes, the main factor for that is again soil erosion and land degradation. And eventually, for many years that happened, a lot of land area has become and are becoming uncultivated uncultivatable. If you go to the northern mountainous region of Vietnam and in some region in the coastal area of Vietnam, for sure you see a lot of land area now very difficult, impossible for production of any crops or animals. Here's some figure to see the problem of land degradation and land erosion in some Southeast Asia country. In Vietnam, in China, in northern of Laos, we see a lot of hectares of sloping land. And main problem because here is soil erosion, also in degradation, mostly in terms of acidity. And also here some figure about the Philippines. They have a lot of around 10 million of hectares of upland of acidity and about 5 million of hectares of land with degradation problems. You see the picture with severe erosion problem here in the Philippines, in Vietnam. In Vietnam, we have done some study, and we try to measure the volume of soil, volume being washed away every year, and the amount could reach up to 250 tons per hectare per year, per cropping season, because of a lot of reasons I'll talk about later. So, what is the cause for the soil erosion? Mainly because of the soil was exposed to the rain with the tillage, very wet tillage, and because of the wind of the rains, the land was eroded and being eroded. You see the picture in the northern mountainous region here. Our farmer normally they burn the field before at the end of the dry season, and then when the rain season start, they plow the entire field very well, and then when the field was still empty, free of crops, of any plants, the rain season come with heavy rains, and you see the rain drop, and they drop On the bare exposed soil with tillage on, tillage soil, the soils were very heavily eroded, and that's why a lot of amounts of soils were eroded. Mainly during the early season when the crops are still small and could not, their canopy could not cover the ground. Some pictures to show the erosion happened everywhere in the Southeast Asia country, in the Vietnam, in Laos, in China. And regarding the carbon cycle, our traditional farming practice not only caused soil erosion, the soil were being washed off away, but also soil carbon loss. As seen here, the carbon sequence in the soil or keep in the soils was less than the carbon emitted from the soils. This not only caused increased emission in terms of it causes bad impact on climate and climate change and environment, but also badly impact on the soil quality, of course. So, how conservation agriculture CA could help in terms of soil quality or soil health restoration and protection? You see here the three principles of conservation agriculture. What is conservation agriculture? Here we have some of the students from TBU, CTU, Country University. So maybe who of you know what is CA? Have you heard about CA, or do you know what is CA? The students, I mean. Okay. So CA has three principles as you seen in the screen. The first one is to keep the soil ground, the ground surface permanently covered with organic mulch or organic cover. The second one is continuous minimum or reduce soil disturbance. And the third one is crop diversification. So CA somehow can be called also DMC. DMC is direct seeding on permanent cover, organic cover. It means that we don't do the tillage. We try to minimize the disturbance on the soil surface. And we try to keep the soil permanently covered with organic cover. And of course, to minimize other problems raised by that, like pests, like soil compact or density, we have to diversify the crops or diversify the biodiversity. Yeah, so that is the three principles of conservation agriculture. And because of that, a lot of benefits we can obtain regarding the soil health. The first one, we can reduce the soil erosion, of course, because when the surface is covered permanently and it is not disturbed, the rain or the water flow or the wind cannot blow away, wash off away the soil. And the cover also helps to keep the soil moisture very well. Of course, we don't need to show evidence for that. And when the cover decay, because it is organic, it is vegetative, and it's decay within the enrich the soil with humus and with a lot of nutrients. And of course, it will promote microorganisms development. It will promote and keep biodiversity in the soil. And of course, when it's covered, it helps to reduce the sun to the soil, and it prohibit the weeds to germinate and grow. And for sure, with all of these three principles, to cover, to minimize the tillage, to increase diversification, we can also increase the carbon sequencing, and by that we can reduce the emission and increase the carbon in the soil. Some of the picture to demonstrate how the principles actually can be seen in the practices. This is the soil cover with plant residue. So if we try to not to burn the fin, we try to keep the plant residue from previous crop. So many after year, so many after crops, we can bin thicker and thicker vegetative cover. And that cover will be decay, will be degraded and enrich the soil with nutrient and carbon. And of course, it helps to reduce the soil erosion. With no tillage or reduced tillage, this depends very much on the condition of farmers. In somewhere they can practice non-tillage. It means that they only make the hole and put the seed or plant seedling in and put fertilizer. But in some places, they can make rows only to sow seed or plant seedling. And in some places, they can just reduce tillage for a few years, and then they have to tillage again because of the soil is getting too compact, too hard for cultivation. To cover the grounds, as many speakers already mentioned before, not only with vegetative vegetative cover, but it's good to use diverse cover crops. And here you can see we just not grow cover crop for cover the soil, but we try to combine cover crop with economic benefits crops, such that it's will facilitate better adoption by our farmers. Because a farmer, their first interest will be the economic benefit, not just the soil protection. That's why when we work, we also try to find the cover crop with multi-use value, not only to cover the soil, but also bring some additional economic benefit for our farmers. Another systems, we call it agroforestry or integrated system, which also very good for CA. One of the CA system is DMC, direct seedling, but and reduced tillage. But together with us, we integrate diverse crops together with trees, forestry, perennials. Plants like fruits. And on this system, we are now developing in Sơn La province in the North Vietnam, including grass, heat grow, coffee, and we are just newly planted some tree. I think the tree are still very small here. We have acacia, and we have also plum. So we have two two rows of forestry, and in the between here we have plums, and here we have coffee or maize together, and here and for the grass. And this typically in Laos. We try to integrate animals and crops, and also rotation in terms of grazing, and with this the research result also shows that it's very good for soil's quality restoration. And some of the measurements have been done, and the results show that with vegetative soil cover, only with 70% of the cover, we already reduce 80% of soil erosion. So that is very good. And if we can combine soil cover with grass hedgerow, and can cover it equally the total field, we can reduce a lot of soil erosions. Of course, it also depends on the slopes, on the direction of slope, and etc. So this picture shows that with vegetative soil cover, we can improve condition for soil microorganisms, and very good condition for the crop roots development. And we can also improve the soil compact soil structure. And if you could think about the forest systems, when we don't burn the field, we keep all the crops residues, and we try to bin the vegetative cover. It will function somehow like a forest ecosystems. The biomass will be keep on the grounds, and it will be decayed and enrich the soils with nutrient and carbon, of course, and it will stimulate develop of biological system, develop the root system, and the root system, like biological pumps, will suck nutrient to nourish our crops. So actually CA was developed based on the knowledge of the forest ecosystems. So the mulch, the vegetative covers not only help to reduce the soil's erosion, but could also reduce weed growth or stop totally weed growth, because some study also already show that the organic material, when it decay in the soils, it can release a chemical called allelopathic. Actually, I'm not sure what it is, but that chemicals promotes the development of microorganisms in the soils. And of course, the cover reduce the light to the seed. That's why it can stop seed germination and growth. And also, but for weed ecological control, cover is only one of the options. So now I talk more about ecological control of weeds. I try to keep it short. So if later on, if you want to ask question or add something more, okay, we'll leave it later. Okay. So what is weed? What is regarded as a weed? So we found a lot of definition by Google. And if we look at this, we can see that any plant is not of any value for human can be considered as a weed. But regarding our work here, regarding the ecological control of pests, so we have to add not wanted plants on cultivated grounds, bring troublesome, and it spreads quite fast and and have competitive capacity against our crops, and are negative to human activity. Here we have to limit in boundary of crop production only. Some popular weeds, I may go script very fast because we may not have enough time. We have different kind of weeds: perennial, annuals, large leaves, narrow leaves, seeds, ling leaf, vegetatively propagated leaves, and quite a lot. And some authors on that already measure and show that some weed species produce a lot of seed per plants, per individual plants. And the seed of some weed can stay in soil for many very long time. So how to control the weeds? To talk about how to control the weeds, we know that the weeds survive and spread quite quickly, but on the seed of the weeds are deposited and stay in the soil, what we call soil seed bank. And for germination and growth of seed wheat from soil, we need space, need water, need sun, and need nutrients. And for spreading, they will need also wind, tillage, pupil animal, and water flow, or whatever like other widely growing crops, plants. So, for control the weed, we have to reduce their germination. We have to reduce their growth. We also have to reduce the seed bank, soil seed bank. And in this slide, we see how to do everything, to do the three main things. We can call it the 3 pillars or 3 principles. So, to reduce the germination of any seed, you know that we should control the light and the water, the humidity. So, as we mentioned before, CA is one of the options, direct DMC, with the cover of the grounds. We can also grow intercrops or cover crops. We can also use non-organic cover like nylon or like net, duck net, something like that. In Vietnam now, a lot of farmers would use it. But of course, we have to manage also the nylon cover after use. Otherwise, we will cause other ecological problems. And tillage or non-tillage, we have to find the best way to decide how to tillage or no tillage, or which direction of tillage. to reduce the germination of seed. If you bring some seeds from the surface or from top layer of the soil, very deep under, so the seed may not be germinate. Yeah, for example, like that. So we have to know what the seed is, or what the weeds is, what their seed are, what kind of condition, or how we can stop or reduce their germination. How to reduce the growth when it's already germinated? The best way to reduce the growth of wheat is to improve the crop's competitiveness. We don't leave the wheat to have nutrition, don't leave the wheat to have sun, no space, no sun, nutrition, so the wheat will not be able to grow. And here are some options for that. So we should find the best time to sow or to plant our crops, or to transplant the seedling instead of sowing the seed, because the seedling when planted on the field, it will grow quicker and will quicker develop the canopy, or quicker take advantage to use the sun and the nutrients, so better competitive to the weeds. Density of the crops, of course. A lot of people already talk about it from during last few days. Fertilization, very important for us to know where to place the fertilizers. We should place the fertilizer in place where the crop's root is the best to take the fertilizer, not to play too far or very clear to the weeds, the zone where root of the weeds are, for example, like that. And another option is to manage the water. Like in the rice field, we all know that if we manage the water on the rice paddy very well, we can very well control the weeds, of course. And how to reduce the seed banks? That is more prevention than control. But we all know that preventive is better or more important than the cure. So the best way to reduce the seed bank is to increase the output and reduce the input to the seed banks. How to do it? We know that a lot of animals can eat the seed or seedling of weeds. So we can use predation. We can find a way to stimulate predators to develop and eat the seed of weeds. But we also try to find the best way to till the field, either to apply non-tillage or delay tillage, or how deep to till the field, which also help us to reduce the seed bank. Yeah. We can also leave our animal like geese, like cattle, we can rotate our crop with livestock. When after harvest we try to leave our livestock in the field so they can also eat the seed. And we try to stimulate the decay of the wheat seeds through promoting the development and function of microorganisms in the soils. Another option is to promote the fertile germination. What is the fertile germination? It means that we help the seed to germinate not in not right time. For example, after we prepare or we make the bed, we not immediately not sow the crop or plant the crop, but we leave for a while. And with the good moisture condition, the wheat will germinate. And then when the crop is not there, a lot of insect, animal, microorganism or fish or whatever can also eat. And another option is I learned from our farmers. They try to take advantage of it, specifically with annual weeds. They never, with their orchard specifically, they never do the weeding. They just leave the weed grow as they do, because at certain time in the year the weed will die, and then will be a good cover and a good source for organic fertilizer for their orchards. In some space or in some case, if the weed not die, they can use like cover, like a nylon cover or net or whatever, or put some potassium, something, with the cover to kill the weed and leave the weed there. Then the weed will become a very good organic fertilizer source. And with that, they also can protect moisture for their fruit tree to develop and enrich their soil with the nutrients. So how to implement weeds in the field? So we have to start from very beginning during the planning, before the crop season, very early, to decide. The most important one is to know what is the weed problem on the field. What kind of weed? What is the weed seed banks, big or small, or how the weed seed may grow, or etc. And then we will decide what option we should take. And during the land preservation and crop establishment also, just based on the three principles we talked before, we can try to find and decide what to do in each step during the cropping season and during the harvest and post-harvest. I'm not sure I have time, so I will skip all of this. Okay? So if you already talk about that, everything may think that, okay, it's very easy. We can do CA very easy. We can control the weed ecologically very easy. But in fact, it's not so easy. We face a lot of obstacles and barriers. The most important barrier or obstacle I list here, and one of the first is one of them. The first one is applicability. One practice normally is very context specific. It cannot be applied to everyone, to every field, to every ecological reason. We know that, and that it required a certain level of knowledge and experience to apply it successfully. And any practice maybe cause additional problems, like if we apply CA cover on grounds, for the first time we may cause additional problem with pests like mites, rats, or insects. Or we may lack of suitable tool or equipment to apply the practices. Like for now, we still, for the northern of Vietnam, we still don't have suitable direct seeder for our farmer to use. Or it's very difficult to our farmer to bin enough biomass to cover their field. The second thing is efficacy and reliability. Most of the practice are more time consuming compared to what farmers are now applying. Yeah? If they spray with herbicide, for example, it's much quicker than doing ecological control of weeds. And now herbicides are very diverse in the market, not expensive either. And for efficacy, normally not a single practice. We have to apply combination of different methods, different practices. And that is one of the problems for our farmer also. And the next one is conflicting objectives. Mostly here, between the practice we try to introduce with the chemical company, Chemical company now, they are very rich, they have money, and they can reach every corner of the rural area, and they can promote very well purchase of chemicals. And in sometimes, new practice or ecological control of it may cause, at the beginning, at the first year of application, reduction of crops yield, and there may be risk because our farmer or even us not really sure how it will be really function in the field. Maybe we know in theory, we know in our experimental area, but not yet in the farmer's conditions. For example, here, we face a lot of problems to help our farmer to reduce the labor requirement for direct seeding, especially in the region with small-scale plot and with complicated topographical conditions like North Vietnam or Northern Laos. With hand here, it requires a lot of labor, and our farmers not really are not ready to adopt it. We try to import and test different equipment. Look like this. Here we put the seed in one part and fertilizer in one part, and we every time we collect seed and fertilizer will come in the soil, and here also we put both seed and fertilizer in, and every time we but actually it's not suitable for land in the northern mountainous region, for example. I'm not sure how about in Laos, but only for one or two. The first one is okay, but later on the soil come and stuck, and no seed and no fertilizer go out. We try to test another one, but also the same problem happen. And in Laos, in Cambodia, the land are quite flat, and they can use somehow some machine like this, but not in the northern mountainous region of Vietnam, and not in the sloping area of Laos also. So it's very so far I have to say that very difficult for our farmer to adopt this, just because that we don't have suitable direct seeder to recommend for them, and we don't are not really helping them with our biomass management. Some biomass look like this, you see, very difficult to manage before for making row or for making hole to sow seed or put fertilizer to implement direct seedings. I'm not sure. I should stop. Okay. So next slide is about conservation agriculture in the Southeast Asia. So we have the network for conservation agriculture in Southeast Asia, and you call it CANSI in short. So you see here, CANSI try to help, to promote and to implement, doing together what we cannot do alone. And it was, the network was established in 2009, as I mentioned here. And that is the workshop in Laos, in Vientiane, in 2009, where the network was officially formed. And there are the partners, parties or members, not the partners. Yeah, and the chairship is belonging to Laos. Before it was Nafri, but now it's Dalam. And the coordinator of the network is Sirat, and I have to say thanks a lot to Sirat. Sirat is not only the coordinator, but also the supervisor, or how to say, to a lot of value in sustaining and functioning of the network. And we have developed general objective and strategy of the network. And with the network support in each country member country, we have, I have here, but I think I should not mention about that. We have, I have here some activity regarding cancer research and development in the member country: Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, China, Indonesia, and the Philippines. But I should stop. And I just want to show the last slide. This Vietnam. Yeah, the last slide. This is the website of the network. We are going to improve it. And if I understand correctly, and if we are successful, the network will be changed to agroecology. Yeah, and the website will also to be improved or changed. That's all. Thank you very much.